Welcome to John Curran, who's joining us here at the International Festival of Agatha Christie. John, you're an internationally recognised expert on Christie's work. My first question to you is, why Agatha?
Well, my main area of interest is Golden Age detective fiction, and quite simply, Agatha Christie was the best there ever was or will be, because the genre of Golden Age detective fiction is past historically, but nobody ever came close to Agatha Christie. Even the best of her contemporaries are still trailing behind her.
So what was it specifically about her then? You've recognised her as the best, but what was it about her work that made you want to do more research into it?
Because Agatha Christie played the whodunit game better than anybody else, and I was just fascinated by this woman who never went to school, had no formal education, no university education, sold more books than any human being in history, and wrote more books. She wrote more books than her three closest rivals put together. And that doesn't include her short stories or her stage plays. So the woman was a one-off, and I was just fascinated by her.
So many books, as you say, so many short stories, so many adaptations. It's gone from stage to screen to TV. You name it, she's done it. Those puzzles that you've been talking about, and that your latest book, The Murder Game, Play Puzzles and Detective Fiction, specifically looks at, how tricky was it to look across all her novels and try and find similarities or different ways that she approached it in each of her different novels?
It wasn't remotely difficult for me, because I loved the books and I would be rereading them anyway, even if I wasn't writing a book about them, because no matter how often I read them, I always find something new. During my talk, I advised everyone and anyone, even if they've already read Murder of Roger Ackroyd, to read it again, because when you do, sentences and paragraphs take on a whole new meaning. She does it so cleverly and subtly, but fairly.
It's very interesting when I've read them and I get to the end, and I spend most of my time going, we get to end of chapter 3 and think, it must be character A, or you get to, and all the time you're changing your view on who did it. When you go back and reread them, are you then spotting the signs, or are you expecting readers to spot the signs?
Well, I remember many years ago saying to an interviewer, of course, when I reread them, and they interrupt and said, sorry, you reread them? And I made the point, well, when you know who to keep your eye on, you can see things that you didn't see the first time around, and you can spot where she's dropped the clues. So for me, that's almost as fascinating.
And that murder game that she plays so well in all of her work, when you see the variety of games and puzzles that she plays, did that surprise you, bearing in mind the time she was living in?
Oh, it absolutely fascinates me, because she did it longer, she did it better, and she did it more often than all of her contemporaries, and in fact, than 3 or 4 of her contemporaries put together. And she did it effortlessly. And during my talk, I gave examples that probably most of the audience hadn't come across, where she actually played games even within her own work and still came up with surprises.
And the games with the reader, I find those fascinating, where it does, we were saying, it does make you twist and turn as a reader, as well as the plot and the characters within.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I did the talk without ever mentioning the unreliable narrator, which of course is a literary term, but she did it quite a few times, apart from the one famous example. But the problem about talking about Agatha Christie is you have to be so careful not to give away endings, which constricts you somewhat.
And you've spent the last, long period looking specifically at the plays and the puzzles and the way it interacts in her detective fiction. What's next for you?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to be doing a book of short stories with a very strong connection to Agatha Christie. That's all I can say at the moment.
So you're not tempted to write one yourself?
Oh no, I think because I've examined so many thousands of them, not just of Christie's, you say to yourself, well, all the plots are gone.
All of them?
Probably not, because that was her genius. It would have looked like when she had been writing for 30 years, she may have said, oh, all the plots are gone, but she still came up with 30 more years of them. But that was her genius. Whether she could have analysed them is probably very doubtful. I don't think she could.
I could just ask you, you're a long-time supporter of the festival here. What do you think is the secret of it and why it's so popular?
The festival. Because Christie has an international appeal, and she crosses all borders of nationality, education level, age. She just everything. I mean, wherever I go in the world, people say, oh, I love Agatha Christie. Even if that means I love reading an Agatha Christie on my summer holidays, or I love reading an Agatha Christie when I'm sick in bed. They wouldn't be in the same level as I would, or lots of other serious fans, but everybody loves Agatha Christie.